Pushing the button. Steve Hytner's in the house.
Holy cow.
Yeah. What do you mean, Mrs. Ryan?
There's really cool people that walk through this house, and every time I see their names come up on the screen, I get a little prickling.
I'm with you now. We've gotten to the point where when I come around the corner, after pre-show activities or whatever, and I see some familiar faces, it's starting to get a little surreal.
Yeah.
Because the familiar faces are surrounded by our living room.
Yeah.
So that's the little. It's not like we met at TV City over there
Yeah.
where it would be
We
normal.
didn't go to a thing. They came here. It's awesome.
You're adorable. All right. Hello, Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
Hello, everybody else. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, February 21st, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. Our guest today is Steve HYTNER. I don't know if the name rings a bell. The face will when he gets in here.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah. You know him from everything. Something very obvious that I specifically don't really care to mention because I have a feeling that he probably gets only that.
Yeah.
Only that. He's so-and-so from something.
I know
BANIA
that
from
he's on the
SEINFELD.
road a lot.
Yeah, he's done a tremendous amount of other things, though, so that's kind of what I want to talk to him about today.
Cool.
But in the meantime, Steve HYTNER is here, and Mrs. Ryan, what do you want to talk about?
So many things.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, we should probably check in over here because I got a text right before the show that said, this is from Kazman, Danbury Chive, East Coast feed guy.
Okay.
She said, I accepted them. And from Brooke, and it says, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I see here no such thing. It says follow back, so I'm going to do such a thing.
Requested again.
And then we'll just sit here and we'll just wait.
Okie doke. All right.
You started this, young lady.
Hope everyone's watching
Mrs.
and paying attention. Yes. Ooh.
Got some stuff yesterday.
Yeah, my 3 PP boys.
There you go. Just open up some I guess, viewer mail, I guess. We played that video yesterday when we checked in with the 3-Pedal Posse and also the Professor Run and all of these guys who were doing this Palm Springs Modernism run. And then a bunch of people showed up, including the Zuffhausen guys, Jack and...
Jose.
It's Jack and Jose from... It's so confusing, though, because there are so many different entities. I don't know what's what. But we have Jose Cortez, who is the president of the San Gabriel Valley PCA, and Jack, who is one of his, like almost his brother, and former president of the same region. They also have another event called Zuffenhausen now. Now, we've played videos from this. It was done at the Santa Anita racetrack. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a huge, huge deal. But they came and gave a Policia Zuffenhausen hats and shirts and stuff. So thank you for that.
Thanks,
stuff,
guys.
And then I'm trying to figure out exactly what all this stuff is and how we should do that. So maybe we'll have one of them on the show or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
But for
In the
you, the
meantime,
3-Pedal Posse stuff.
Here's the deal. The 3 PP men are my favorite. They're like just so thoughtful and awesome.
Mauricio and Jim.
Yeah, Mauricio and Jim. And I had said to Mauricio, we were talking about something ridiculous, and I was like, I wore your shirt yesterday because I'm a loser, and I was really excited to tell him that. And he was like, which one? I'm like, I only have one. He's like, I gave 2. And I'm like, listen, man, women with big boobies like small shirts. It's a great selling point. I don't have them, and I got a large. And he went right to his car and got smalls.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so I will be wearing these a lot, and I'm
that's
so
awesome.
excited to have a number shirt that fits. Thanks.
That's awesome. So those guys are in Palm Springs. They checked into the Ace Hotel last night. There's a whole bunch of Porsches out there, and it looks like a tremendous amount of fun. They're going to have a great time. And it was apparently quite a bit of weather to get there. Lots of snow getting over the mountains to get to Vegas. And apparently it's not to Vegas, to Palm Springs. Apparently at the same time, it's snowing in Vegas today. Yeah, crazy.
Cats and dogs.
I feel like
living together.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Like there's a movie with a homeless guy with the end is near or something like that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Requested.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, let's do a quick TBT.
Okay.
And this is to 1 year ago today.
Jeez.
1 year ago, sitting right here where we are today. Roll it out. You'll have to look at the monitor for this. We added a camera.
Where? Oh, we did.
Ready?
There we go, kitty cam. Hello, kitty cam. That is live. That is in the bedroom right now.
Best thing ever.
Yeah, that's real. That's the kitty cam. That's meow meow. If you ever hear us talking about meow meow,
Meow meow.
I figure, Mark Maron was always talking. You talked about Mark Maron yesterday. He's always talking about his cat. And we have a cat that I'm just as in love with, and I just felt the need. Oh, look at that! What a great thing to cut away to is all I can think of.
Pretty.
She's awfully pretty, and man, can she find a lens or what? Look at that animal. All that is an iPad leaning against the pillow in the bedroom.
She knows what's up.
Holy!
She learned
cow.
a lot from you. She absorbed all that.
Is that what it is?
Smart technology awareness brilliance.
Smart technology awareness brilliance. Is that what I have?
That's right.
Just osmosis? I just gave it to her.
You embody that, and anyone around you has to up their game in those departments.
I can't stop cutting.
Speaking from experience.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's just so great.
Oh, I could watch that all day. That's its own channel. That's its own channel. Yep.
That is the best thing. That's a gift. That's like a Valentine's Day all over again.
Well, there you go. Here it is.
Wow.
Well, so what I'm taking with was, can you believe we're sitting in the same room?
No.
Other than the Letterman chairs and desks, though, all of the same stuff is there. It just looks so different.
It's the same place.
Isn't that incredible?
Totally transformed.
That's nuts, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's the same book, same stuff on the desk, even the microphone, the mugs, and all the. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I still have that sweater, although I was just thinking about throwing it out. So.
Then it's probably tied. All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
Really? Da, 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 da.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Exclamation points are back in not awesome news, but here's the they've always had a grammar. They've always been a grammar issue in the academic world and the professional world.
Really?
Yeah, and now everyone in the social space is finding that out for themselves because it's being questioned and pointed out for social media use in emails.
What do you mean? Is it like don't shout? Is that what the issue is, or does it?
What it really does is at the core is what is your sentence saying? It's an emoticon. It's one of the first emoticons, and it's adding
Punctuation, sure.
emphasis to a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
The feedback is that it makes women seem friendly but dumb. I mean, really.
That's the first thing on that list?
Yeah. And men seem fake and pushy. So it's just,
well, it depends on what the sentence it's attached to is.
Right.
You know, on the, let's do it. You know what I mean? All
right.
that bullshit.
It all goes to everything we always say, which is why it is first on this list, of like, read it as if it were sent to you. Like, zoom out. Like, have a minute. Do you really need to send it?
People put so much stock in stuff, too.
It's all petty. No one cares.
You brought up a story just the other day where somebody was going to court over, emojis and text messages and what they actually mean, because one person thought a crown meant one thing and somebody else thought it meant something else, and there was a contract involved. And it's like, why are you doing your business over text with emojis and then going to court over it?
That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So heads up, don't email as much. The idea of climate change.
Can't see you.
Chase Louise, I'm the worst. The idea of climate change has launched a slew of new pop science and pseudoscience type ideas, which sometimes are good and sometimes are bad. It doesn't come from like orchestrated schools of thought, which is great. But sometimes it gets a little out of hand, which is what this news story is about. Because now it's affecting what's being taught. There's no consistency in like foundational elements of life anymore. Like there's one Montana school that's like the oceans are rising because rocks are falling in it.
And big chunks of ice.
And here's the thing. There might be pieces of that statement that are true, but it's not the reason necessarily. And so let's all take a little responsibility.
This will be interesting to talk to our guest today about, because as a comedian, your job is to impart your thoughts, and then how people take them is not really up to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear if that plays a role in what they do for a living as well.
Oh, yeah, I bet you.
That's where people are running into trouble these days, and then they're being forced to apologize for things they didn't say. They said words that someone took the way they took them, but that's not what the intention of the person's words when they said them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And to me, that's not fair. And now to me, it's almost the end of, everything, communication of the whole bit.
It is, except I always go back to, what do you really stand for? Do you mean what you say? Because if you do, there's no argument to be had. Yes, I meant that. No, I didn't. Yes, that's it.
You're making it as I'm sorry, I agree with that fully, except that that's not what other people are taking. They're
Totally.
They just take it on however their emotions attached at the time, and whether you offended them or whatever, it just kind of all becomes a whole nother conversation, which has nothing to do with the person was originally saying or intending.
Agreed. And as a former publicist, it's people make too big of a deal out of everything. Knock it off. So to all of our driver and hiker and outdoorsy friends, there's a lot of animals that are around a lot of us.
Okay.
So a lot of us, it's always an issue. And now deer and elk and moose might be acting weirder than normal if you see them.
Because they're zombified.
Yeah, they're turning into, it's a chronic wasting disease is what it's called.
Is it a bacteria at first, or is it how do they get it? I was reading something as well, and then whatever it is, it kind of just, for lack of a better term, it rots the brain. It's sort of, you're living dead. It
makes them their brains turn into like a Swiss cheese type consistent, like that, holes and stuff. It's like mad cow disease. They're not totally sure how it gets contracted yet, but they know that it's a bacteria type thing that they can't kill. Like it's already dead. It just gets in systems and wreaks havoc. So, if things are acting weird, just stay away.
Everything's acting weird.
And know that everything's acting weird because it's fucking weird. And then, lastly, this is
good.
Hilarious to me. In Indonesia, in 1858, a huge bee was found. And scientists thought it might be...
Well, hang on. It was always supposedly, right? It was like, we were told this, blah, 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 but we could never back it up because we could never find one again.
I don't recall hearing about this,
Giant
but it's like
bee.
2.5 feet, 2.5 inch wingspan and the size of a thumb.
Yes.
And that's how big they said it was. No one could find it. They found other big ones and they were like, oh yeah, it's probably extinct. Good news, it's not. They found it again. But what I think is super neat.
Where is it, Mrs. Ryan?
It's in Indonesia,
That's
I think.
right.
So you don't have to go, but just know it's still alive. And
so book your flights now.
That's
up.
up.
See this big bee.
But what's weird, it was
There's
called...
one big queen from what I've heard. One big queen is what they
Really?
were able to photograph.
Yeah, well, that's super neat. The species is called Wallace the giant bee, which is so ridiculous. It's hilarious. But this Wallace guy, this is my takeaway, he co-developed evolution, the theory of evolution with Darwin.
No kidding.
And I didn't know that.
How about
Maybe
that?
he's shy.
He must be. So that's been?
That's what's going on.
And that's been What's Going On, Mrs. Ryan. Good job, Mrs. Ryan. How do you feel after your What's Going On
Great.
segment today?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. Good
Thanks.
for you. All right, Mrs. Ryan, let's take a quick break. Have our guest come in here, Steve HYTNER, have a conversation about that. And when people get here and see his face, then they'll understand exactly what we're talking about, who he is, what he's from, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit. But for the most part, I want to dance around it. Okay,
Great.
cool. Steve HYTNER will be in here right after this. More to come, sitting right in that chair. Right back. He's clapping for us. That's amazing. back to the Prius podcast. We are back talking about nonstop Prius and electric car. We are sitting here with Steve HYTNER. Hello, Steve HYTNER. Here's a microphone.
Oh, look,
Hello,
a
mister.
microphone.
Wherever you flip that, wherever you like. You
How
stay
are you?
comfortable and bring the mic to you.
I'm comfortable here now. Comfortable, not comfortable. I'm in the pocket.
So, is it fair to say that every single person at least bills you as, oh, BANIA from Seinfeld?
Yes.
Is that
that's
what
fair.
you're most
and,
famous?
And, you know, I've also, had to bill myself as BANIA. Like, if I do stand-up, like the clubs, they want to, we're going to put the BANIA from Seinfeld. Like, okay,
Because that's what goes on.
Yeah, if it helps get people in the seats.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, I didn't mean to say that you were, or imply that you were ashamed of it, or didn't like it, or anything.
Oh no, I don't mind it at all. So it is what it is. I mean, if I walk out the front door, somebody's going to scream, "That's gold, Jerry!" Right? So if I want to make that a negative, that's probably a bad decision. Like, oh, I hate my life. Oh, look what it happened again. Everything sucks.
Speaking of everything sucks, of course, because of that, I forgot to move your camera over. So you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Okie doke.
Oh, all right.
that-
You have a follow-up?
You follow it. No, I'll just talk about myself.
Okay.
That's a publicist's nightmare. And I totally know what you mean, though.
Yeah, but my point is not to get too about life or stuff, but it all depends what you want to make misery. Well, why would I want to make that misery? Even if I don't like it, I can't yell at, don't say that! I don't enjoy that much!
I only did 6 episodes.
So you just kind of,
You're awesome.
You might as well embrace, right? You might as well embrace.
I say yes and I say thank you. And people that I used to work with used to email me and be like, so-and-so said, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? It makes it a way bigger deal for me to call them now and be like, what's going on? And then it's a thing.
It's part of the story. It's part of your story. It's part of
It
your
is
road.
interesting in stand-up where after the shows, people will come up and go, you were hilarious. We didn't know. It's like, yeah.
Oh, well, on Seinfeld, you were not supposed to be a good.
So I
necessarily
actually
stand-up comic.
considered, because I'm as much an actor, if not more so, than I am a stand-up.
Sure.
I considered doing just BANIA, but then to die to headline and die for 45 minutes, that's a long time.
What's one joke too? It's kind of like you get the joke.
Exactly. So I think I could make it work for a little while, but I don't think you can really make it so. And I'd rather just go out and be me and just
aren't
be a
you
headline.
far more interesting than BANIA from Seinfeld? No offense.
Yes.
Like just in a 5-minute
I don't
conversation.
know how I could
thought
take
so.
offense to that. I don't. When you say no offense, I'm thinking, how could I be offended? No offense to what?
Yeah.
No offense.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. Did you interrupt
Unnecessary
me?
words, perhaps.
Are you going to check in on that every couple of minutes? Any
Well,
offense yet, Steve?
internally,
Any offense?
Internally, because I told you I'm trying to learn from this,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee you I'm
Okay.
checking in constantly
Okay.
now.
All right. So unless I bring it up, no offense. I will go offense.
I like that I said, all right, I don't want to talk about BANIA from Seinfeld. And for 5
Yeah.
minutes,
Right. Pew 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 pew. No offense.
maybe I'm nervous. Isn't that-
I'm so glad you believed me.
all right, well, I want to find out how you got into. You're from New York originally, right?
Originally, yeah, born in Brooklyn, raised on Long Island. Moved into Manhattan about 45 minutes after I graduated high school.
Is that true?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I
obviously
could have
not.
stayed there and talked about Camaros.
Where were you in Brooklyn?
Well, I wasn't in Brooklyn. I was on Long
Long
Island when I
Island.
was raised. Now you're
No,
you're
you were
you're
born in
offending
Brooklyn.
me
You
now.
said born in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
So
that was
no
only
offense.
a year. That was only a year. That was in Flatbush, and my parents left with the Great White Flight, where everybody was like moved out of Brooklyn. And my parents, they didn't have a racist bone in their body. It was just like a thing. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're moving. Everyone's moving out.
Right.
Everyone's moving out of Brooklyn."
Well, you mentioned being friends with Chris Rock, and I used to work on the Chris Rock show, the Everybody Hates Chris, and that was all
Right.
Bed-Stuy. So I didn't know if you knew Chris Rock from when you were children.
Oh no! I just knew Chris from the comic strip days in New York.
All right, so then Long Island after a year. Where
yeah.
in Long Island?
Valley Stream. This is not the ritzy, rich Long Island. I'm
I know
from
Hempstead, too.
I'm from the you can spit to Queens.
Oh, okay. Long Island City type.
Yeah,
All right.
basically Rosedale, Valley
Okay.
Stream. Yeah.
I'm from Connecticut, just outside the city, and then I spent some time. in
Oh,
the
we
city
got all your
around.
toxic waste that came down.
Is that right?
Yeah, to the Long Island. Yes, the nuclear plant you had.
Oh, they
yeah.
did down in
yeah,
Groton.
then
down
that
at
came
the
down and gave
He's right. That
gave
was a
all of
true
our
thing.
women breast cancer. Thank you for that.
That was a thing.
Oh,
I wasn't over on that part. I was right off the Merritt Parkway.
So many things I'm taking offense to now.
Oh my god! Ever since I said don't take offense, It really has painted this whole thing with a different color.
It's all rude.
Yeah, so Long Island, and then unbelievably, I was going to be a professional bowler.
What?
No.
Yes, I was going to be a professional bowler. I went to the New York State Finals at 15, and I was so serious about it. And my friend did a play, and everybody thought he was freaking hilarious. And I was like, I'm funnier than he is. I was like 12, and that was my whole inspiration of my career was I'm funnier than he is.
But you were, I'm assuming.
And then then I went on to do my thing and acting.
What did you do though? How did you? So you saw what didn't work for that guy.
Well, he was in high school. We were in high school, so he was a year older than me. So I just started getting into the high school plays, and then it was going well, and people were laughing and doing all that stuff. But people always think that there's some sort of artistic moment, And I'm such a sports nut that I kind of always looked at it as a sports thing. Like I wanted to be the first baseman on our high school team. Because I was good in Little League.
What are you doing in theater?
But I wasn't yet.
Oh,
I was just doing this, and I wanted to be the first baseman of the high school team. I got to the tryouts. It was so clear that Harry Atamakis was going to be the first baseman. Right? There wasn't going to be a competition. Shattered. He was so good, right? So when I pursued acting, I said, I'm just going to keep going until I run into Harry Atamakis. And I felt like I never really ran into, as it pertained to comedy or acting and stuff. I was like, maybe I'm Harry Atamakis.
That's what I was literally going to say. That.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's interesting. Well, for me, I came up through theater as well, also in high school and stuff. And for me, it was the whole element of the black box. We made a little black box. I can't say anything today with you here. You want to hear about my black box theater
I don't know what you're talking about, black box, but go ahead. I'm sure it picks up.
Did you? Any second. Get rolling here any second. Did you do any tech stuff? I guess is what I'm getting at. Did you learn all technicals as well, or were you solely just performing?
Oh no.
None of that.
None of that.
Okay.
No, I just
in high school you had to do all the stuff. Where I went, you had to do all.
I just like the shiny object part.
Okay. Good for you. Yeah. But good for you for saying that too.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I realized that the girls were more into the actors than the bowlers, and that's really the extent of my inspiration.
Wow. Yeah, you cut through the bullshit a lot earlier than I did.
No, I didn't wear black and do props. No.
He's like, no.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hello.
The turtleneck. Yeah.
I didn't have to do it, but I ran the lights from the booth, or I was in the pit orchestra, or always something.
Our high school acting guy, he used to make the prop person also wear black gloves. Like, oh god, you can't even see the person.
Don't see
There's nobody there.
Tuck your socks in.
So ridiculous.
It's magic how all that happens.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody does it.
It's moving through the air.
All right. Well, then, so what did you do? What was your first, performance-y thing? Was it just a high schoschool play, or did you get out on your own somehow?
No, it was high school plays, and I moved into Manhattan, and I started studying. I mean, I was a really serious actor. Like, I studied with Uta Hagen, Sanford Meisner. I don't know if you know who these people are, but they're the gurus. And people studied in New York, and people studied with their disciples. I actually studied with Meisner and Uta Hagen. I was the youngest person to get to Uta's class. I did a scene. Those scene study classes are just so competitive and insane. And
dog eat dog for real.
Oh, just crazy, right? And nobody supports each other, and it's just terrible. And I did a scene.
For the phony stuff.
Yeah. I did a comedy scene, and I had that entire class howling laughing, right? And Uda's sitting there with the cigarette with the ash hanging off. And I finish, and there's a pause, and she goes, "That's very interesting, Mr. HYTNER. Why don't you remove the red nose and the large shoes, and we'll discuss what just happened."
Wow.
No. And the whole class went, ooh. Yeah. And then she proceeded to ream me. But I was a really serious actor at first, and that's what I wanted to do.
So were you trying to be but you were trying to be funny. She just didn't like that you were trying to be funny? Or
that was a comedic scene. That was a comedic scene.
I
think it was my lesson in, look, I believe in, I'm not afraid of large work, I don't like people who underplay everything. It's a style, it's fine.
Okay.
But I never really had the cheekbones to rely on underplaying things. So I like larger work. But I think through her, I learned that no matter how large you make the character, you have to at least have one toe still on the ground. Once you lift that last toe, then there's nothing there.
Right. Stay grounded.
Right. So I think she helped me realize that, and that's the sort of work I enjoy.
To me, what I got from that was that the audience loved you. right? When you were doing that.
Yeah.
And then she was almost saying, like, the audience doesn't know. The audience is wrong.
Exactly.
That's not what we're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah, she
neat.
shot me down. And interestingly enough, while getting into acting technique and stuff, I studied with Uda for years, and then I studied with Meisner, and the Meisner technique was much better for me.
Really?
Yeah, Uda Hagen was all about your backstory, who you were, and bringing all this stuff into it.
More
and,
methody?
Yeah, much methody. Okay. And Meisner was more about boop, 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 boop.
Just keep it going.
Yeah. I'm
Being present.
Isn't that so
being
interesting?
present.
We fundamentally are. It sounds like I'm more Uda and you're more Meisner.
Right. It's about being present. It's not about showing cat videos from some time. You want to be in the room. Does this make any sense?
Yeah.
1 year
No
ago today,
offense.
roll it hell.
Yeah, literally the internet is strewn with cat videos. You have added a middleman. Not a lot of times you remove a middle.
For us, it was Meryl Marco influence, and we were like,
You've added a middleman, and we will show you cat videos.
That's right. We're complicating the whole process. We've added lights and cameras to a podcast. You called it.
Yes.
All right, so that went well, and you're now studying in New York. You're working at this point, too?
No, I started doing regional theater and summer stock and all that kind of stuff.
Summer stock, of course.
I was real.
Where were you doing summer stock?
Up in Albany.
You?
Yeah, we started the first regional theater in Capitol Rep up in Albany. We were a small.
Do you know what REP stands for?
No.
Repertory.
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at that. That must be how it. That's how we won you.
Yeah. Good job.
Vocabulary.
Lines like that.
That's it. That's it.
I've never seen anyone
Stop the
actually
ship.
swoon.
Stop the
But
ship.
that was-
Explain the word. You know this word?
This is how it goes.
Yeah, so then we started at Lexington Conservatory Theater, a small little summer stock company, and actually it was a brilliant company. We worked our way up to Albany, and like I said, I was really serious. I remember the first time when we did a show at Albany, and the director was meeting people. We were doing a show called The Tavern at the Egg in Albany, and he wanted to talk to everybody beforehand, and I was very serious. I was 17 years old, and I was very lucky because I knew everything. And
Blessed.
and he wants to chat a little bit beforehand. And I say at 17, I go, well, here's the thing, I get a lot of preconceived ideas about the character and stuff, and I like to get those out. So that way, if I get them out, they're just done. And if there was something there, great. And if there wasn't, fine. And he's listening. He goes, He goes, well, we won't have time for that.
How polite.
It's like, oh, okay. Well, then we don't have time.
You're good.
Yeah, we don't have time.
It wasn't his first rodeo either.
No, we won't have time
Holy
for
shit.
that.
Well, that's concise.
Yeah, so then I was doing some acting, a lot of regional theater and whatnot, and then it was the early '80s in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And comedy was everywhere. Every restaurant had Tuesday comedy night, and then all the great clubs in New York, Catch Rising Star, Improv, Comic Strip.
They all seemed to have TV shows at the time, too. There was Comic Strip Live. There was A&E at the Improv. There was all those different...
It was just everywhere.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. So
That's why we're fans of comedy, though. I mean, because we grew up watching all that stuff.
And so I decided to try it because my personality at that time, like friends were like, yeah, get on stage. Get it out. Get it out. This is me. Chill.
You had good friends.
Yeah.
Mine fucking let it go.
Yeah.
He's our funny friend.
Yeah, so that's why that was all. And people are now like, well, what advice do you have for comedians? It's just so. We were so lucky to have so much stage time. So much. It's all about stage time. It's all about figuring out who you are up there. Even if you think you're being yourself up there, you're not. You're being a version of yourself. And you have to figure that out. And people are like, wow, what about material? I was like, yes. I mean, but there's so many great comedians that don't have great material. So, what are you going to be? How many Carlins are there, right? How many people are there like that? So it's really about who you can create up there.
That's interesting.
And we were lucky in those years to just, we'd do 5-7 sets a night, 6 nights a week.
It's a lot
Holy
of practice.
Smokes.
Yeah.
Like going to restaurants and shit. I didn't really know that.
But there were
part.
clubs. I mean, you would
so
do
neat.
2 shows at the Comic Strip, 2 shows at the Improv, 2 shows at Catch. It's 6.
It's a lot of practice time.
It is. I don't know if I
can't even
appreciate
imagine
practice time. I don't know if that's the term.
No.
Practice.
You're a sports guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Get it
but I don't know,
together.
it's not, is it working for you? Practice.
It's not my
All right.
She's
You're
a
the one with
solid
the
word,
words.
but I
Word.
hear you.
Yeah,
I hear
you know what I
you.
mean? What would be a better word than practice on that? Good. See,
I'll think of a
hone your
different word.
Nice
craft.
drills.
Hone
Nice
your
drills,
craft.
Meisner.
Yeah, you really nailed that setup.
You're right. All right. Yeah.
Nice butt
Someone.
tap.
Yeah. I'll let it go.
Yeah, you'd think a publicist
Whatevs.
would have a better word.
That's why we don't write shit. We just talk to the people that write shit.
But a lot of stage presence time. You were up there. You were up there
When
in
I
front of
passed at the comic
in front
strip,
of audience.
this is good. Lucian Hold was a tough guy, man, and he was the one who held the gate at the comic strip.
Okay.
And when he passed me, I passed like the first time. I feel like I passed too quickly. Like it was like the second time I ever did stand
Is
up.
that too much pressure?
You
know
know
what I mean?
All
If you're not really
pressure because
ready.
you're nervous, but then when I passed, I thought I was like, "Oh, that's great," and then I was like, "Oh my god, I'm terrible."
That's what I mean. At that
Yeah.
point, I feel like
I'm
that's too
terrible.
much pressure.
Yeah. So when he passed me, he said this, and when he said it to me, I was so insulted. And now, how many years later, I get it. He said, I had done so much acting already and stuff, and he said, I don't know about your material, but you stand there just about as good as anybody we got. And I thought that was such an insult. And what he was saying was, you have
Such a high five.
You have
to
a
me,
presence.
it's a huge seal of approval.
Right, and they had some pretty great people at the comic strip standing there.
Plus, somebody else can write your material. It's the guy standing up there. They're all looking at.
Right, and that's what he was saying. He goes, I just think that your ability to be in your own skin, or just
You're very likable. Are you aware of that?
when you lie to me, I feel alive.
No offense. You're very likable.
Yes, you make friends easy. I get it.
Please like me. Please like me. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever have you ever gotten that before? Your characters, even the one I didn't want to talk about at all, is
Right.
very likable.
Well, there's a story to that. In that when the audition for that
For Seinfeld?
for
the
BANIA,
character?
all it said was the most annoying person in the world. Okay, so now I had
Talk
already
about an insult.
I had right.
Have we got a part for you?
Get HYTNER.
Yeah. We've got the guy.
And the thing is, I had auditioned for 3 other parts on Seinfeld before. And people that are Seinfeld fanatics are always like, what parts? What parts
Okay.
can you get? And I'm like,
Oh, right, because there are other.
yeah,
we know
because
the
somebody
roles,
did them.
of course.
Right. And the only one I remember was when Kramer had the scent of a beach, the guy who owned the scent company.
Okay.
So
The cologne. I remember
yeah,
that. Yeah.
So
that was
I
my
wanted
idea.
I wanted to do Seinfeld badly because it was a #1 show and stuff. So all it said was the most annoying person in the world. I didn't really have a feel for it. But on these auditions, as you may well know, the walls are thin. You hear people. You're not trying to.
Yeah.
You just hear
You
them
hear the
audi-
people right before you.
Yeah, you can hear them. And I don't even like hearing them. But I didn't really have a real great feel, and I was pissed because it's my 4th time in for Seinfeld. I don't have a feel, and so I listened to, and they were so. All it said was the most annoying guy in the world. So they were just like, Jerry, you owe me. No, you supposed to. You owe me. And they were so mean and nasty. And then I was like, that can't work. That can last 5 minutes.
Because you can't be mean and annoying. Then you're just mean.
Yeah, then it's just like, all right,
cancels out
get
the
rid of
annoying.
it. Jerry, lose this guy.
Right.
So then I just decided, what if he is annoying because he adores Jerry? But then you go, well, that's the character. But it wasn't. So I went in, and all these actors are going in, hey, you owe me. And I just walked down and I went, hey, Jerry, what about that meal?
Like you're more sycophantic
Right, I
about
just
it.
made it, yeah. And
Wow.
then Jerry and Larry literally fell out of their chairs, and I was like, this is the one I'm getting. I'm getting this one. And then when you have good acting and great writing, once the writers saw what I was doing, then they ran with BANIA in that
They
direction.
saw your abilities with the character.
And
Holy
as
cow.
BANIA, as a guy who just adores him.
It
and
opens
then,
up a whole new plethora of
Yeah, well, because you get the little,
possibilities.
hey, Spike, hey, what's going on, Spike? You know, you tag
so then
along.
they loved that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I was back the next week.
Shit.
I was back the next week. And oh, yeah, this is going to work. This is going to work.
Wow,
the
good for you.
best.
Do you tell that story a lot? Does everyone know that story? And I'm just...
No, I don't tell it that often. I mean, I've told it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
makes me love the whole process so much more.
Well, it is about the process, which is nice, because people are also like, well, you were Jerry's friend. He just give you the poke. Like,
That's
no,
assumed, right?
No. No, I do this for a living. I don't just get handouts.
You both
from
grew up on
friends.
Long Island.
Yeah, you were on a corner, and he said you. No, I had pictures and resumes.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to it then. One of the things I'm kind of awesome. I'm on the spectrum of Asperger's at the very least.
Yeah, you certainly are apologetic.
no
I'll tell you
offense.
that.
No
You're
offense.
Canadian. You gotta be.
I am.
Oh, so you got it from her.
Maybe perhaps my favorite
Some
thing.
sort of apology thing going on here.
There's this is going to be so obscure, and it's only going to make me look like this, but I don't care.
Okay.
There's a scene in Ghostbusters. My favorite scene in Ghostbusters when the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is full of enthusiasm climbing this building, and then something happens, and he sees the Ghostbuster, and his extremely blind enthusiasm face turns to just sheer crestfallen disappointment. That's something you have the ability to do, and you did it so much. Anytime you make that face of just going from your "Hey Jerry" to whatever face you make, I'm on the floor.
Why'd you punch me in the nose?
It. Yes, I can't
Again.
take it. I'm like, that's a move he has down. You have down, and it's one of those like, it's my uppercut. You just take me out with it every time.
Well, that's nice. Thank you. You want to hear my favorite compliment I've ever gotten in show business?
Yes.
Okay, I did a movie called The Marrying Man, written by Neil Simon with Alec Baldwin, and there were three friends, me, Paul Reiser, and Fisher Stevens.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, when we got when we were auditioning for it, Neil Simon was at the final auditions. So now I'm auditioning for Neil Simon.
Jeez.
Right?
And you're actually a theater guy too.
Oh, yeah.
Talk
He's
about pressure.
And so I get the movie, and Ronnie Yeskel, who was the casting director, she was kind enough to tell me, she goes, I just want to let you know, she goes, you did the audition, it went great. You know, it did go good. I got a lot of laughs and stuff. She goes, when you walked out of the room, Neil Simon said, you know, he reminds me of a young Jack. Let's go with him.
That's a great
Wow.
compliment.
So Neil Simon says he reminds you of a young
Jeez.
Jack Lemmon. So
Hold on to
to
that
me, I was
forever.
like,
The Odd
I'm not
Couple, the whole bit. I mean,
Oh,
going
yeah.
to get a better compliment. Like, what's going to replace that one?
that's amazing.
That's good. Seriously, put it on a pillow. Like, show it to everyone that comes over.
He's one of those guys. I loved him in movies that weren't even that great.
Right. And that's another example
because
of
of him.
And that's an actor who was large, right? But he kept that toe on the ground. You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting.
Jack Lemmon didn't make small choices.
No.
True.
No. He made large choices.
Boy, that's so wild. We just watched a movie with him.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Kathy Ledman was in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with the presidents. That's what it was. My
fellow American.
Yeah.
All right. So I had to look at your IMDb before you came in, just because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Is it maybe your first? What was your first movie ever? What was your first?
Ski Patrol.
I can't believe it. So that was true.
Yeah.
The internet was right. I not only have seen that movie came out at the right time for me, if you know what I mean. Like I was 13 years old, and I was like, boobies.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
a very funny
you're
movie.
welcome.
No, I wasn't quite that old, but
You know, it's interesting, but my friends all saw that. I had moved to L.A. and I got my first movie. All my friends were still in New York, and Ski Patrol didn't exactly, tear up the
cable. I
charts.
saw it on cable.
Yeah, thank you. But my friends all went to an empty movie theater to see it, and God love them, every one of them, and it took almost 4 years to all end. As one by one they came out to L.A., they had the tickets done and go, how do you want to handle this?
As in, I want my. You owe me a couple bucks.
I owed them $7 or whatever it was at the time where I'd buy them a drink.
That's awesome.
What was the story with that movie? What was it like being? Was that your first set and everything?
Yeah, oh my God, we shot up in Park City, Utah. We shot for 2.5 months and we partied like crazy. It was
That's what it looked
was
like.
unbelievable.
And the premise in the movie is basically a bunch of party kids up at the mountain anyway,
Yeah,
too.
Paul Feig was in it. George Lopez was in it. Roger Rose was the lead in it.
I don't remember. Who were you in it? Because I remember the players, but I
played
didn't know who anybody
the most
was at the
annoying
time.
guy in the,
You've got a knack
Typecast.
for it.
Yeah, I know.
Typecast.
Right. I played this kid Myron, who was kind of like the
But
nerd.
were you one of the good guys or one of the?
The
you
guy,
were in the middle.
I was no, the guy, the annoying guy who ran it all. I was his nephew.
I actually
Yes.
do know what you mean.
And I had some trouble with a flatulent dog in the movie.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
I've never seen this movie, but I cannot wait to go watch it.
So I was in for Tim Burton for the first Batman. And he's looking at my resume. He's going, some good movies I've done. And he goes, "Woo, Ski Patrol." I go, "You know
What?
Ski Patrol?" He goes, do I know Ski Patrol? Pops almost loses the mountain.
That's it.
And then,
Oh my God. I get it. Of course.
then he gives me the
Hollywood.
most backhanded compliment in the world. He goes, "Oh yeah, I love that movie." He goes, "Just sometimes you just don't want to think." I go, "Well, I'm here for you."
Holy shit.
Holy cow.
It is.
Yeah.
It's good versus evil, fun versus not fun. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. Bright colors versus black and white. The
I
whole
love
thing.
Hollywood. I need to go watch
Holy
it.
shit, man! So you do. So everybody gives you no offense compliments.
Yeah, no,
I'm
no
not the only
thanks.
one. I'm not the only one.
No, just you.
I'll take them. I'll take them.
Holy shit. You don't live in LA anymore, right?
No, I moved up to Reno. I have a 13-year-old son, and his mom and I are no longer together. Relationships can be difficult. Although I must say, that's one of the things, I threw you guys on yesterday just to check out what I was getting myself into. And
As you said, see if you had to cancel or not.
yes, see if I was going to. I'm not going over there. But you guys seem, if we can be sincere, incredibly in love, and it's amazing to watch. And I think I'm a little jealous, and it just seems so freaking genuine. It's not really happening, is it?
It's really happening.
That's
We
awesome.
didn't used to be this way.
No.
Really?
We didn't used to be this way. Yeah, we didn't fall in love. We found in love.
Yeah.
No, it was weird. We
We're
told
forced
this
together.
story just the other day on the show. I think maybe again with Kathy Ladman, but we figured it out like halfway through where we are now. You know what I mean? We're together almost 10 years, and it was about 5 in that we were like, oh, wait a second. And it was life that
Right.
Mrs. Ryan got MS. I had a health scare, and it was like, wait a second, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden, your priorities change, different things become important, and we just started enjoying every moment.
Well, that's great. Personally, I tapped out.
Yeah, good for you. You're still working.
I couldn't get any oxygen.
You're still working.
Yes, we do that.
So then I'm fortunate in what I do. I can live wherever I want to live, so I just choose to live 5 minutes from my son. So
Good
that's
for
why
you.
we went up there. But I was really leery about Reno, and let me tell you something. I love it.
Really?
It is such except for that downtown casino area.
Is that what you were thinking the whole thing would be?
Yeah, I thought my son was going to be addicted to cigarettes
Video
and video
poker?
poker
Yeah.
in 6 months. But no, it's got snow-capped mountains. You got
Beautiful.
Lake Tahoe. It's got a great university. UNR has got a great basketball team this year. It was so much better than I anticipated it being. And I had lived my entire life in Manhattan and L.A., basically. My entire adult life. Was
Your working life, certainly.
Yeah, Manhattan and L.A. So just being anywhere else that's not Manhattan and L.A. was just kind of
different.
an eye-opener, yeah.
Is there still? I mean, I just think of the Rat Pack when I think of Lake Tahoe. I think of Dino and Sammy and all.
Oh,
that
they
stuff.
still have all that stuff.
I was gonna ask you, is it still up? Is it all glitzy and glamorous? and all that
It
stuff?
is, but it's a little like 70s-ish, so it's all there.
Great.
But
Well, that,
when
to
we
me,
did
if
the-
it was different, I wouldn't be interested. You know what I
Right.
mean, I
You
like
would love that.
vintage.
When we did The Marrying Man, as I was telling you about, they sent me, Paul Reiser, Alec Baldwin, and Fisher Stevens to Vegas for 3 nights just to become friends, because in the movie we're all
Oh,
friends.
wow. A
So
little
this was-
bonding.
it was unbelievable. And Reiser and I were like friends in 2 seconds. And they literally sent us to Sinatra.
Holy shit!
And so you want to talk about unbelievable with
Jeez.
those guys going to Sinatra, and it's so unlike me to yell anything out. But in between songs, I mean, I had a scotch and a stogie, and I'm watching Sinatra, and in between songs, I yelled out, "Frank, you're the king!"
Oh, my God.
And there's a pause, and Frank Sinatra goes, "Oldest damn king you ever saw," and Reiser goes, "You're talking to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a conversation." Frank said, I'm not, you are.
You said something to him, and he responded.
And he responded, right. So
Holy shit!
In the show.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
That's
Pretty
kind of a
good.
big deal.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Chairman of the board, man.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm wondering at is, are you going to do any? In my mind, I have this fantasy of like driving up to Lake Tahoe and seeing Steve HYTNER in some room. There.
I have.
Like, have you?
I have. I do stand up there because anytime I'm doing it up there, I'm closer to my son. The point isn't to move to him and then not be there. Right? It's like, oh, yeah, I live right near my son. Where's that? It's
40 weeks
600
a year
miles.
on the road, yeah.
600 miles away from here. He knows his daddy's
Legit.
there. So, yeah, I prefer to be there. So there's a couple of interesting clubs. There's a place right in Reno that has an underground theater. It's a 170-seat underground theater.
That sounds awesome.
And so I play there whenever I can, as much as I can saturate
called?
the area. It's called the Underground, the Pioneer Underground, the Pioneer
Creative.
Center.
Clever.
Yeah, right. By the way, I do this joke when I play there because it has these long steps going down. Just once I did this joke. I go, "Welcome to the Underground." Apparently went with Underground because Fire Trap was taken.
Yeah, that's right.
and the owner goes, "Can you not tell that joke?"
Maybe not that way.
I tell it every time.
That's good.
But yeah, there are lots of little places there. Like, in Tahoe, there's a great one on the North Shore of Tahoe. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I play there, and it
For
just
me, that's an excuse to drive up there to go
Agreed.
see our friend Steve HYTNER perform. That's right, you heard that? I was slipping
There
right
you
in
go.
there. Go.
Hey, we're friends now.
Hey,
No
we're
offense.
buddies,
No
man.
offense.
No offense. I'll bring my cape.
We're in love. The whole thing's great. Well, here, let's see. Go to the card. All right, so theater, I got you. First film, Ski Patrol. That's out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Cars. Are you into cars at all? It's
I
okay if you're not. I don't care.
like cars. I had a Porsche. I'll tell you.
Did you?
I'll tell you a Porsche story. Since
Please.
you guys, or you like to say Porsche.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So when I first did Seinfeld, Jerry's fanatic for Porsches.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got
from
you.
the television
of
show.
course. The
Or
biggest-
as my dad used to say, "Thank God for that Steinfeld show." I'd go, Dad, I did like 100 other shows and films. Really? How'd those do?
That is amazing. That's
hi
amazing.
to
He's
your
not the only one
dad.
with
I love
Steinfeld.
him.
Everyone
Yeah.
loves Steinfeld.
Everyone loves Steinfeld. So what? Like one of the first days, and Jerry and I are just getting along great. And we're on the lot, and I had like a 911 Targa,
Oh.
and he comes by with some monster or whatever the latest thing is, and we're at the intersection, and he leans over, he goes, "Oh, you got the starter kit, huh?"
Oh, there you go.
Like, yeah, I did.
That's awesome. Were you into cars, or did you get one because everybody? Because
I just had a little dream fulfillment. I always thought a Porsche would be cool. So,
Absolutely.
I got a Porsche, and then, it was used, but it was still nice.
They're all used. We like the used ones. We don't like the new ones.
I loved having it, but, I had it for a few years, and
Oh, that's a long time.
yeah, it is a long
I thought
time.
you got the joke, got the pretty. Yep, all right, I'm in the club.
Yeah,
Out.
see you later.
I think I had the Porsche about 5 years.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was very
What
nice.
color
So
was
you are
it?
into cars a little bit,
Well,
though. If
I
that
got
was
a little,
dream fulfilled.
I got some crap about the color of it because the girls I knew, it was candy apple red, and the girls I knew are like, "You are way too cool to have a candy apple. You don't understand what that's saying to women. You need to just paint this thing black or whatever."
What is it saying, that you're gay? Is it saying that
No,
you
I-
have bad taste? What is it saying?
I think it says like you're one of these weird dudes that needs a candy apple red Porsche, like penis making up for you, whatever. it
Oh,
might
and they're
be.
saying we all know you don't.
that I don't need. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Get rid of this
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
You're not good with taking compliments.
I'm not.
That's what I've learned.
Turns them back. I'm offended.
That's what you got out of all of this.
No, but I was trying to bring it around, yo. Get another red Porsche.
Yeah. So all the women I knew were like, "You can't have a red Porsche. That's not you. You're just like you're a cooler guy than having a red Porsche."
Oh, you were into cars enough to get the Porsche.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
into cars enough to get the Porsche.
So any other what you would consider cool cars, or just any other cars at all?
No, I mean, I went into a bunch of Lexus years with
Okay.
leasing Lexuses.
Yeah.
And then there was a really difficult time in my life where I had to come up and visit my son a lot before I moved up to him.
Oh.
So I got a Prius because it's like, I'm going to be doing
driving.
so much driving.
Mm-hmm.
I literally got a speeding ticket in a Prius. That's no easy feat.
You're the guy.
Not
Wow. What?
easy
What? Is there a story there? Or?
No,
Oh,
I was
okay.
just stunned. I was just like getting pulled over. Going, I can't believe
Yeah.
pulled over in
One of
this.
my friends
thing.
see me.
I can't believe you got a ticket.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
did.
believe you wrote the ticket.
Oh, I had that thing burning at 85 in a 70.
You mentioned sports being a thing for you. Sports are so not a thing for me that whenever there's somebody who they love sports, I kind of almost want to know why. What's big about sports for you? What
the
is it?
competition?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I would think first of all it's the competition. Like, well, do you enjoy anything competitive?
I don't know.
I
I told
think
you my
that's what you don't like.
I told you my competition right now is Jack Parr and
Yeah.
the guys who are dead.
Yeah, you're competing with dead people. That's not a competition.
Then I'm competing with myself though.
Yeah, I think you don't enjoy that competition part of sports that much.
Could be.
Because that's the part. Like, I'm doing a podcast now that's literally called "That's Gold" with Steve HYTNER.
Now what does that mean? I don't get the.
Yeah, sure.
What is
look
it-
at the little
where does it
smile
come
on your
from?
face. Like, I figured if I'm going to have to deal with people yelling it at me every day, I might as well take
You must
advantage
get
of
it
Own it.
constantly, right?
Right, might as well own it.
Embrace
People
it.
don't know
Exactly.
your real name probably for the most part. It's hey Bania, that's gold. Hey Seinfeld, that's gold.
Yeah,
Something.
I mean,
gold.
one of my favorites was I was in Manhattan and I took a step off the curb and a bicycle messenger went by at like 40 miles an hour, almost killed me, and all I heard was, "Watch it, Banya." Well, thank you.
Hey, look at that! I got recognized.
Yeah, he didn't want to kill Banya.
Oh, that's a win.
Good. I have to say, you really have taken that so well. I had a.
Well, I always
I met-
feel like it's like I'm Mrs. Kravitz from Bewitched. What am I going to do? Say I'm not Mrs. Kravitz?
Well, but I met William Atherton once. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He's an actor who is probably best known for Dickless from Ghostbusters, bringing Ghostbusters up again. He was the guy that they all hated, the EPA guy. He's been in a million things, but for some reason, that's what people got locked onto. And the guy can't walk down the street with people without people saying, "Hey, Dickless. Hey, that guy has no dick. Hey, the whole thing." And obviously, that's maybe not quite as, or maybe more severe than just a character that's mildly annoying.
Right.
Not the most annoying man in the world. I don't know. For me, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm a little thin-skinned underneath, and that would perhaps get to me. And maybe your competition has made you thick-skinned,
I
and you
don't
can just
remember
handle
calling
it.
you thin-skinned.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Oh, I thought you said maybe I'm right. It's like, I don't remember
sorry.
calling you thin-skinned. I'm
No,
not
you said I
saying
was
it's not
sensitive
true.
before.
He danced
And
around
it's
it.
true.
He danced around
The lack of wanting competition.
Right.
Like, I
Well,
don't like the competition.
You don't like competition. You did props. You know,
If you had any idea how deep that props thing went,
that cuts.
you have no idea.
it. No idea. It's way deeper nerdery.
It's crazy. It's
No, look,
crazy.
the Seinfeld thing is just like I don't mind it because mostly I think the reason for that is I'm proud of the work I did on that show. Like I think that was a really great character. I'm proud of what I developed with it. When people come up to me, they are beyond excited and delighted.
Wow.
And it's just like, how hard do I have to work to turn this into a negative?
Right.
Right? And I just choose not to.
Good for you. That's so great.
It's a really good trait.
Yeah, but the perspective is not one that everyone has, as I was pointing out very, very wordily. So I guess I just really, really appreciate your perspective.
Yeah, so and I try not to lean too heavily on it, you know, in the idea of, I can't let that go, right? You know,
Totally.
literally in my stand-up, I wasn't talking about it. And this is the only bit of my stand-up I will talk about it. I'll say, you know, people would come up to me after shows and go, "You were hilarious. You didn't talk about Seinfeld." I go, "Well, you know, it was a long time ago. I don't want to feel like I'm holding on to something." You know how sometimes one person says something and it finally gets through your head?
Yeah.
I was doing a show and they're like, "You were hilarious. You didn't talk about Seinfeld." I go, "Well, it was a long time ago." And the guy looks at me and he goes, "It was on today."
Holy shit. What a goddamn bubble burst.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open
It's still,
your eyes,
it's still
man.
relevant.
It's on today.
Well, it's on everywhere too. It's like one
Right.
of the most syndicated
I love
shows
Lucy.
ever.
It's one of those for
It
sure.
is. It's
Gilligan's
just
Island.
on. It's just on. So, you know, what am I going to do? Fight it? But I try not to be a person who's like, you know, trying to live off it or only doing that.
Well, hopefully you are still living off it. They keep selling the goddamn thing on
Well,
every
it is.
streamer and
It's
everything.
not a
So
bad
hopefully
thing.
it's still a good thing for you.
I have an intimate relationship with my mailman.
Fantastic. Good. Looking for those residuals.
Oh, that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that? I mean, that's the nice thing about this business is if you play your cards right, you can future-proof it a little bit.
But it's kind of an 800-pound gorilla. Like, people will go to my IMDb and they'll be like, "Oh, my God."
All the stuff.
Yeah.
You've been in everything I've ever liked. It's amazing.
Right. So, but at the end of the day, I could do, instead of like 1,000 things that are on there, I could have 4,000 things on there. But Seinfeld's still going to be an 800-pound gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
It just is, right?
Right.
So it's not like, you know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
He's sat with this for a while. It's new to me.
I think it's pretty rad. I cut right through it as a former salesman type, but I get it. It must be hard, but
It's amazing
you
to me
are
you guys have
embracing
never
it.
met.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
We know a lot of the same people, and like, it's funny to hear your stories about when you started comedy, because like I worked with a lot of guys you started with.
Yeah.
That were like Chris Rock, you said, like was
Mm-hmm.
started out. The trajectories of all of them are so different. It's hilarious that y'all started out the same
I was
place.
saying to you that I don't mind repeating is that I've never known anybody that got as much better at stand-up as Chris did. Mm-hmm. But, you know, Chris came into the comic strip at, was he 15 or 16?
15, 16, yeah.
He was
You
a
know?
kid.
So, of course, but I had this belief that no one could get that much better. Not pertaining to Chris, but that
In
as
general.
a stand-up, you can't get, there's something that's either there or it's not there. It's almost like when I was talking about studying acting, one of my best favorite acting coaches used to say, acting is like a, what do you call it, the thing in the water, Titanic.
Iceberg.
Acting is like an iceberg. 90% of it's underwater, you can't do anything about. If you want to shine up the top of it, then, you know, that's basically the best that acting technique's going to give you. It's like if you need
Wow.
if you need technique for every moment, you might be a plumber.
Interesting.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with being a plumber. But so to me, I felt that way about stand-up.
It's art in general, right? Finding the flow of it.
There's got to be some sort of natural thing. And Chris just kept getting better and better and better until he was, one of the best stand-ups on the planet.
Right.
This is not private, so this is not from working with him, but his dad was a preacher. And I've always thought that weighs heavily in his act.
Being a communicator.
Yeah, like he knows how to embrace the energy that's
Yeah.
around him.
That's
like his
very
like
true.
Julius must have. So I think that's a pretty cool
That's
thing
an
about
interesting
him.
thing because I used to put on, the preachers that were on TV, and I used to just watch them and study the bring you up, bring you down, and all
Yeah.
that stuff
I
they
did
would
the
do.
same thing.
And
Jimmy Swaggart and
Jimmy
stuff back
Swaggart
then.
mostly.
Yep.
Mostly Jimmy
Me too,
Swaggart.
when I was a kid. Just there watching
Yeah.
how they would work the audience.
Yeah.
They would the crowd work for those guys was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't give one
That's
goddamn
incredible.
about what they were talking about. When I say goddamn on that, I shouldn't. I didn't care.
No offense.
No offense. The ultimate no offense. We found it.
You gotta cut down to the sheer. There it is. Holy crap.
Wow, you did really whittle it down. That's great.
We got there together. We got there together.
Good job, guys.
But yeah,
Holy
with Jimmy
crap.
Swaggart, if I saw him, I'd leave it on. And I'd go, oh, look at what he's doing there.
Yeah, probably Jim.
So I like that
Jim
point
Baker and everything.
about Chris. That's
Yeah.
true. Because man, when he owns that stage, you're going to pay attention to what he's talking about.
Yeah, he is like he has this energy of a huge dude, and he's like
Yeah.
5'9".
And and yet for me, one of the interesting things about his persona is it doesn't come off arrogant.
Yeah,
And
You
yet
really
he's
know.
strutting around like, but it doesn't come off arrogant. It comes off like he thought of something he wants to share with you. That's great. It doesn't come
Yeah.
off crazy arrogant because I don't, stand
I agree with you. I know what you're saying. The
You would think that would come
way
off. Yeah.
that's interesting.
very humble in his
Yeah.
words.
I'll tell you a Chris Rock story. So, a number of years ago, my friend Roger Rose, who was the lead in Ski Patrol, is very good friends with Kenny G. Because Roger, yeah, is that the thing? Is that the Kenny G?
Universal sign. for
Universal.
Kenny G.
Okay.
Ask anybody.
So because Roger got the lead in Ski Patrol because he was a very big VH1 VJ back in the day.
What?
That's right. So then he became friends with Kenny G because of that affiliation.
Oh, VH1, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Smooth jazz.
yeah. So
Adult
he knew,
contemporary.
So Kenny G is very big in the African American community. They are big Kenny G fans.
It's
so
the smooth jazz.
yeah. So they're going down.
98.7.
They're going down to the Essence Festival in New Orleans. And Kenny's going to play there. Even it's mostly African American
It's a big
festival.
deal.
Right. So
Kenny, we make fun of Kenny. He's also very talented.
great guy, by the way, because I know him through Roger. So Roger says, "Hey, do you want to jump on Kenny's jet and go down to the New Orleans for the weekend at Essence Festival? He's playing there."
By the way, you want to make fun of Kenny G? Just listen to
on
that.
his
Get
jet.
on his jet.
So we get on Kenny G's jet.
Go to the Black Music Festival.
It's one of those things you don't even have to say. True story.
Yo! You can't make this stuff up, folks.
So we get there. Long story short, it's at the Superdome, right? So I'm in the green room. I'm part of Kenny G's entourage, right?
Unbelievable.
So we're in the green room. The green room's enormous. And who comes in, also playing, is Chris Rock. I haven't seen Chris in probably 10 years at that time, right? And he walks into the green room. And all I hear is, can I curse on this show?
Sure, yeah.
He goes, motherfucker, I'm at the goddamn green room in the motherfucking Essence Festival, New Orleans, and who the motherfucker do I see? Steve White, motherfucking. Like, hey, Chris, you know, it's incredible. Open bar.
That is such a great story. I know the Essence
Once he put
Festival.
it into perspective, all of a sudden I had the visual, and now I see sore thumb
Oh, that is so funny.
sticking right out.
So that was just such a great. There was such a great story, such a great remembrance for me to see Chris walk in and go.
That's great.
Steve HYTNER
cow.
in
What
the
a
green
moment.
room at the Essence Festival.
We're coming up on the hour, so I want to think about starting to wrap it up, but I want to talk about your podcast if we can.
Okay, so the
A little bit
podcast-
more about
That's
Gold.
it's That's Gold with Steve HYTNER. It's got a sports gambling aspect to it.
This is traditional podcast, right? This is like podcast networks,
Audio.
not video and all that stuff.
No, it's just traditional podcast. It's 5 days a week.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
You do
5
it-
days a week.
Do you do it from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, it's got a little bit of a sports gambling thing to it. So one of the last segments we do is I Never Felt Stronger About Anything in My Life, where we each pick a game, whatever game we want to say that we're going to bet on. We're going to take that team. And then the following day, the first segment is called What Was I Thinking, where we go over whatever bet we had made previously.
Even if you won.
It's just called What Was I Thinking? Because
Okay.
usually I lose. Because I have a guy who's like an analytics guy,
Right.
and I clearly bet emotionally.
This sounds very fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And then in the middle, we'll just cover anything that's fun for guys to do. Because I feel like part of why I wanted to do it was, if you're a guy my age, and there's a photo of you, and you're not surrounded by wife, children, and grandchildren, you're creepy.
Really?
Which is completely unfair. There's a lot of guys who are in their 50s, divorced, do well, have a little time, have some money, and yet they're like, there's not a lot of advertising going at them. Because they always think, oh no, you don't change your shampoo, you don't change your
Right, you're
and
invisible.
all that nonsense.
To the advertisers, you're invisible.
So I try and bring a lot of humor into the middle sections there, and then we have guests every day, and it's going really well. I mean, we've been doing it for a couple of months, and we're in Apple's top 200.
Congratulations.
Great.
That's
Congrats.
fantastic.
So it's interesting. It's fun for me. I like it. It's another medium, just to try and crack another medium. I take great pride in being able to make my living as an actor and a stand-up, and actually not mastering, but being good at both of them. Where I didn't get so big in one that allowed me to do the other.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like I've actually had to
Hone
become an
both,
actor
yeah.
and become. Now some people would say, well, it helps that you're BANIA. But, how long does that last you? Stand-up is a tough,
Yeah, it was
It's a
on today.
double-edged sword.
Yeah, go
It
be
was on
unfunny
today.
for 5 minutes. See how
Yeah.
the rest of that 55 minutes goes.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
That's almost the same thing as being Seinfeld at that point, then, right? Because it
doesn't matter.
You get the applause that, hey, you're Seinfeld,
Yeah.
great, but now you got to make us laugh.
You feel it. You get the free 5 minutes. You
Yeah.
feel it. And then it's like, okay.
Comedians are starting to talk about that. Like Chappelle was talking about it, Jerry's talked about it, Chris has talked about it. Like people that come to see your show paid to come see you, and so the first 5 minutes, it's like that's the guy I came to see.
They
You have
expect to see
earn-
that guy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're happy to see you, and they're with you, and, you don't have to earn it, right?
but you have to earn the momentum
Right.
to stay through, and so that's the difference.
And once you're 10, 15 minutes into your set,
That's a whole.
Doesn't matter.
It's its own entity at that point.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Some of my favorite comedians are not names for that reason,
Right.
in that they don't have to earn me, but they're pretty rad all the way through.
Right.
It's interesting, though, the way you're doing it, though. You're giving them exactly what they want, and you still get to do what you want to do. That's
Yeah.
the best of both worlds for me. Some
Yeah.
people will, just not, I'm not doing that character. Or that, like you said, you find out afterwards, oh, you didn't do whatever. Like,
Right.
oh, sorry. It seems like this is the best of both worlds.
I feel like I'm very lucky in that, and I put it in a way that doesn't make me sound. Maybe it makes me sound bad, and I want to do that. I do whatever the hell I want to do. I do whatever the hell I want to do, and then I'll try and master that so I can monetize it, so that I don't have to do what I don't want to do.
Do you think that sounds bad? I think
I don't know.
that's the new
It doesn't
American
sound
dream.
artistic, does it?
Well,
That's what I worry. Is like, I should have a story about, I worked with the great so and so.
You have a ton of
you
stories.
have so many
Yeah.
fantastic stories. You didn't just luck into this.
No.
You worked to get here.
Yeah.
And what I need to remind you more, and I need to remind myself, and I'll just use you as an example because you're here. But you have great stories. You were part of amazing things. Like that Chris Rock Essence Festival story is something that very few people have, and it's so funny. And you tell it so well. You can see it, and not everyone can do that, and you can do that with certain things.
If I may, my Chris Rock story that's only similar to that. It wasn't directly to me, but I was present for it. Sexual harassment seminar at Everybody Hates Chris on the Paramount lot.
That's amazing.
Everybody's in this white room in this new building where we're waiting for the execs to come in. The last two people to come in, of course, are Ali Leroy and Chris Rock. Chris Rock walks in. He goes, "Man, ain't nobody in this room I'd even consider fucking."
That's the best. Now you're going to make me tell this Paul Reiser story. I have to tell this Paul Reiser story. Years ago, they did a thing from Maxwell House, and all the comedians, they were going to have a comedian.
Coffee?
Yeah,
This
Maxwell
was back
Coffee.
in the days when they were switching the folder, the
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
So the commercial was going to be a comedian doing 30 seconds about coffee, and then they'd run Maxwell House at the bottom. Anyway, everybody knew there were going to be two winners. Whoever booked the commercials of
the
it,
runner.
and then whoever said the funniest thing.
Okay.
To this day, I don't even remember who got the campaign, but the winner was Paul Reiser. Because when he went into audition, the slating where you say your name, he walked in and he said, "Hello, Paul Reiser." Fuck T. And it's like, all right, he wins.
Done. Everyone else go home.
Yeah. So that's basically what Chris was doing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We would love to have Paul Reiser here someday. I'm such a
he's-
fan of his from not only his work that everyone else likes, but his show, Here's Johnny. There's
Yeah.
Johnny.
I can't believe you like that show. Really? I believe that was made for you.
About.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
about
Me, maybe. Yeah.
By the way, one of the nicest, he's a friend of mine and one of the kindest, most real,
Yeah.
most wonderful men you'd ever meet in your life.
That's
We've seen him
great
do
to hear.
stand up down at the Comedy Magic
Yeah.
before, and he's a delight just to watch.
Right, but I know some people who do some amazing stand-up that aren't the most wonderful, most amazing, most kind. You probably know a few of
Yes,
them.
I do.
It's nice that. All right, so we're backing it up. Paul Reiser's a good guy inside.
Great guy.
Fantastic. Steve Heitner, anything else for us?
No, I
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. It means
Yeah.
the world to us, and I hope you can tell that we genuinely had a good time.
I hope you can tell I had a good time. Yeah.
No offense.
So,
I'm going to wear that one out. Worn out. No offense. No offense. You said before, goddamn, no offense.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Mrs. Ryan, let's see. What do we have here tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow's Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's Friday. This is a long
That's
week.
crazy.
Friday, Breakfast Club. We are going to be up at Newcomb's Ranch. Please come up and join us if you feel like it. It's Newcomb's opens at 9. It's going to be a chore to get there. A lot of the roads are closed. There was the landslide, and there's also some weather and snow.
well, that should bring him in.
No. This is a thing.
Feel free to Google.
This isn't for this is for those who are committed.
Okay.
But the mountain, there are ways to go. So just go to ach.com or whatever the heck it is and figure it out. But we hope to see some of you tomorrow. Mrs. Ryan, after that, the weekend, there's a lot of stuff. We're probably not talking about some of it, and we'll be back next week. Who's here next week?
There's so many people.
Nailed it.
I don't keep a list in my head.
No, it's okay.
Well, can I mention that Wayne Fetterman's going to do your
Yes!
show?
Oh,
and
yeah.
part of my job here is to report back to Wayne about how was it and everything. So
Great.
you guys, you got a C- written all over you.
Holy crap. I'm offended.
No offense.
None taken.
I'm offended. Well, hopefully that'll be fun too. When is that next week?
I think it might
Oh my
be.
goodness! So maybe Wayne Fetterman will be here next week. Steve Heitner, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here. Really
guys.
appreciate it. Mrs. Ryan, I love you so much.
you
Steve
too.
Heitner, we love you
Love you,
so
love you.
much.
Yeah, and you guys keep being in love. It's nice to watch.
You got it.
Thanks,
Thanks.
man. We love all of you at home. Love one another, and we will see you tomorrow.